It's an unsettling feeling when someone who you thought cared a great deal about you, someone that you saw a few times during the week, someone that you might have been texting all day, every day, well, suddenly they're not there anymore. It feels uncomfortable in your own skin, like there's a dis-ease when you're trying to be present with your family members, or you're trying to be present at work, or you're trying to be present at home watching movies. Your brain keeps wandering off to this other person who's apparently going about their life acting like what you two had never existed. They're acting like they never made all those promises to you. They're acting like they never made all of those future plans with you. And when you try to reach out to them to maybe get some closure or see what's going on with this breakup, you're met with complete silence. Like they're acting like you never existed. And as a result, you begin to believe that you don't matter. Well, I've got good news for you. Regardless of how they're acting, you exist 100% of the time. Hello, friends. My name is Maria, and for almost 20 years, the way that I felt about myself, well, it was always based on how other people who I perceived were too good for me were treating me. And if they were treating me like I wasn't important, I would internalize it and think, it's because I'm not important. There are times in life when people say things to us and they make promises to us and we believe them. And then when that person sort of falls off the face of the earth, it hurts a lot. We feel abandoned. And while it's okay to be sad when we become separated from someone that we care about, it's not okay when we react by abandoning ourselves. Somewhere along the way we got screwed up and we begin to base our self-worth on the actions of others. But if you're ready to say, I matter all the time, I'm important all the time, and I exist 100% of the time, then grab a bottle of nail polish and let's talk. I know in several of my videos, I tell you guys to always practice your boundaries, and you practice with small things. So if you begin to practice emotional self-control and assert yourself in more insignificant situations, you teach your nervous system that you can do these things, and afterwards, you're okay. And this gives you the confidence to know in more important situations down the line where something bigger is riding on it, like your dignity or self-respect, you're going to have built the confidence and the trust in yourself, and you're going to have practiced not begging people, chasing after them, or hounding people that are blowing you off. These are the anxious triggers that we all tend to regret the most. 100 out of 100 people I talk to in the comments or in my no contact encouragement phone sessions, which I'll put the links to down below, every time someone says they have continuously reached out to someone that's blowing them off, they regret it, and it does not make them feel good about themselves. I mean, for someone like me, it was impossible. I was never able to just let someone alone that I loved who seemingly out of nowhere blindsided me with a breakup. Well, not when I was a little younger. Eventually, I did start to teach my nervous system to calm down in smaller situations. And now when someone does something that disappoints me or blows me off, it hurts. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a human being and I still get attached to people. Heck, I've gotten attached to people I talk to in the comments every week. You'd probably be surprised to learn how often I think about you and I wonder how things are going for you. Anyway, I have learned over the years that when someone abandons you, although it does hurt, it's so important that we hold our own self-respect. There is almost nothing you will regret more than the memory of begging someone to be with you who ended up, they weren't even good enough for you. You just never saw it until you see it. And then it's the behavior you regret. So we practice with small things. If someone makes a date with us and we text them that day to confirm and we don't hear anything back from them, we do not double text them. And we don't show up to the date either. Or if someone in your family is always put in charge of something and year after year on the holidays, they blow it off, you don't ask them anymore. You ask someone else. We stop chasing after people who continuously let us down. As they say, how you do one thing, that's how you do everything. And like I said, let's start with the small things. So I wanted to give you guys a real life example on what went on in my life last month. And I wanted to go over how I handled it now versus how I would have handled it back then when I was allowing my anxiety to misrepresent me and how I wanted to show up in this world. For the past 3 years, I have been with a trainer at the gym, and we have seen each other a couple times a week. And of course, we have formed a friendship. Yeah, a lot of people are friendly with their personal trainers, but you can imagine after 3 years, we weren't just doing things at the gym, you know. He's married, me and my partner, we would do things together. He did fitness shows, we'd all travel to see him, we would all get each other Christmas presents. He invited me and my family to his wedding. And as a result of this, he's someone, you know, you see this person a couple times a week and your families become friends and you're doing things outside of the gym. I mean, he's certainly become someone that I would consider a pretty good friend. Well, the owner of the gym I was going to decided that he was going to shut the gym down. And my trainer, he decided to take a different job where he wasn't personal training, but he'd be getting out of work around 1 or 2 every afternoon. And he insisted that he was going to continue training people in the evenings. We were just going to do it at a different gym. Okay. And then when I was leaving the gym that day, the last thing he ever said, he put his hand on my shoulder and he looked in my eyes and he was like, Maria, don't even worry about it. I'm only taking a few people. You're one of them. And yeah, you're just going to have to face the fact that you're stuck with me forever now. And I know it was a funny joke, but you know, it does feel nice. It feels nice to be valued. It feels nice to be like, he's not even taking everybody and I'm one of these people. It's always nice when people, you know, make you feel good. And that was one of his charms that I've noticed over the years. He's very good at making people feel good when he's with them. But there's also other things I've noticed about him too. Like, he would never really answer my text messages. He would text me back a week later and it'd always be like, oh, hey, sorry, I totally forgot to text you back. I could also see that he was treating all of his clients like his time was more important than theirs. And these were all just like little red flags. And it's funny because you do get to a point where you're like, wow, if this was a guy I had ever been interested in dating in the past, I would have been totally hooked on this hot and cold behavior. You eventually get to a point where the inconsistency of others is no longer attractive. And trust me, it does not matter how cute they are. Welcome to the other half, where we know attraction is not just about looks. We also have to take care of the inner half. And this is so important because as we get stronger and we get more clarity, we start to learn that hot and cold behavior, it's not attractive. It's more like an insult. It's not a challenge for you to overcome. It's a non-starter because either that person does not have respect for you and never will have respect for you if you continue to stick around, or they have no problem with you personally. They're just not interested in you romantically. And that's okay. Not everyone has to be interested in you romantically, but not everyone has to be someone that you continue to hang around or bend over backwards for. And regardless of what it is, you do get to a point where you recognize when your investment in another person is not being appreciated. You recognize that when someone doesn't text you back because they're bad at texting, it's BS. And you recognize when someone's minimizing things that are important to you. You recognize that they never ask you anything about yourself. You recognize that they feel that their time, it's just so much more important than everyone else's time around them. And you decide to go no further. you begin to see these patterns paralleling across friendships, maybe coworkers, work situations, and romantic prospects. And you can tell yourself, wow, Jeff, he's really fun to work with, but I can tell by his mannerisms, he would drive me crazy if he was my boyfriend, because in the past, people that have been flaky or let me down or haven't texted me after 3 days, they drive me insane. So you just decide you're not putting yourself through it anymore. You're done. You have too much respect for yourself. And it's not just about the respect you have for yourself. It's because you've done all this work. Because instead of investing in people around you that aren't appreciating it, you've begun to invest a lot into yourself. And, you're just not interested in tearing down all of that time and energy that you've put into yourself. I had a horrible anxious habit of biting my nails for over 30 years. And of course, it was so easy for me to continue to just gnaw on them and bite them down. And they look like crap, but they always look like crap because I'm biting them. And it was just easy to just tear myself apart until I began investing in myself. I was purchasing nail polish. I was putting the energy and the mental fortitude into not giving in to my anxious habits and biting my nails. And gosh, don't you know it, whenever I looked down and saw my nails growing and seeing the pretty pink polish on them, how much harder do you think it was for me to blow up all of the work I had put into it and sabotage myself and tear myself apart? Yeah, I felt like I virtually couldn't do it anymore. I've already put in so much work. And this is why it's important that we invest in ourselves, not in people who have made empty promises to us that continue to ignore us. It's easy to keep going when you just keep hitting the same wall, but when we finally decide to just get the gusto to stop hitting the wall and begin marching in the other direction, well, I don't know about you, but for someone like me, that takes a lot of strength. And when you finally find the inner strength to do its best for you and to walk away and to stop reaching out. And I mean, you stop. It's not 3 months and then you reach out again. You are completely done. Once you have stood up for yourself like that and you see how it feels, well, just wait and see how much harder it is the next time someone treats you like crap to keep running back to them. Because now you know you don't have to do that. You can get through the pain and you're strong enough to survive it. You're like, this guy would be a disaster for me if I dated him. So while it is nice when people are charming and they make you feel good, you also do get to a point where you sort of see these little behaviors and you've learned what triggers you, and you begin to do what's best for you more in the long run. Now, this point is moot on a romantic front, and I am not trying to compare a 3-year friendship to a 3-year romantic relationship. I understand that when you're intimate with someone and you love them, the stakes are a lot higher. But what I'm trying to get at is these relationships, human behavior has a lot of parallels, regardless of the kind of relationship that it is. So it's important that when we go about our lives and we meet people out in the real world, we can kind of size up their behavior like, ooh, cute, charming, with hot and cold behavior, who blows me off every once in a while but acts like he's totally into me when we're in person. Yeah, that would be an emotional roller coaster nightmare. And you just kind of cross them off your list of dating options. And this is how we begin to disqualify people faster, and we keep ourselves from getting stuck on one person that we've turned into a personal challenge. So a couple of days later, I texted him to see what his schedule for the upcoming week looked like, because our schedules were constantly changing. And still no answer from him for like 5 days. And then on the 5th day, he texted me true to form, "Oh, hey, Maria, sorry I forgot to text you back. But I start orientation at my new job this week, and as soon as I get my new work schedule, I'll let you know when we're going to train." Great. Sounds exciting. For 3 weeks, And to this day, nothing. Not a word. So yeah, that was the last thing he said to me. Put his hand on my shoulders, looked into my eyes, and said he'd always be there for me. And then for 3 weeks, it was crickets. Now in the past, even though, after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, I really started to feel like, he's been at that job for 3 weeks now. Surely he would have gotten a work schedule. Surely he would have reached out if he was going to continue to train people. And then, of course, there's that thought that surely our friendship meant more to him than to just start this new thing and blow me off and never talk to me ever again. Do I think that I'll hear from him again at some point? Possibly. But here's the thing about that. I didn't hear from him for 3 weeks, and I have my own life and my own goals that I originally wanted to achieve when I first started training with him 3 years ago. I didn't go to that gym to find him. I started going to that gym because I had my own mission. I wanted to get in shape just because I wanted to, just for me. I can't blow up all of my own goals because one person has hurt my feelings and bailed on me. I cannot afford to bail on myself. Not anymore. That's exactly what I would have done in the past. Sat around moping, maybe letting myself get out of shape all over again because, I'm upset that this person I cared about isn't texting me and I need him to go to the gym. No, I don't. I don't put what other people are doing above what I need anymore. I need to work out. It gives me that dopamine. It helps me have confidence in myself. It helps me have respect for myself when I look in the mirror. These things are more important than waiting around to see what someone else decides they're going to do with me. So I gave it 3 weeks because I know life can get overwhelming. I gave it 3 weeks for the dust to settle and still hadn't heard a word. So I signed up for 1 month at another gym down the street from my house. Not with another trainer. I'm not ready to take that step yet, but I'm not going to give up on the overall picture that I have for myself. I have to drive past my old gym on the way to the new gym I was going to. And I stopped in the parking lot and I walked up to the window and I peered in. There was a big for lease sign on the window and the place was completely dark and completely deserted. No equipment, nobody. And it was spooky because when I look in, I can see the memory of all of the blasting music and the energy and the friendships that I had made with people there, all of the sweat and the disastrous workout sessions, the leg days, but also all of the laughter and the good times I had there. And I don't know why, but I reached out and I just tugged on the door a little bit, and of course it was locked. It was just a weird feeling not to be in that place, not to even be able to get in, And what did I do? Well, I did the only thing I could do. I got in my truck and I kept driving. I can't hang out there. There's nothing there for me anymore. I'm locked out. So I have to just keep going down the road. We have to do what's best for us. I actually had another video written out today and I decided to talk about this instead so I could show you guys and give you an assurance in real time that in life, people are going to come and go and you're going to get hurt. And it is okay to feel sad when someone tells you things and disappoints you or doesn't follow through with something, or you had plans with this person and I guess it's just not going to work out, or someone that you really enjoyed is just no longer there anymore. It is completely natural to go through a period of loss, but it does not mean that we diminish ourselves and start begging, pleading, chasing, reaching out. My partner was like, well, why don't you reach out to him one more time? No. And I'll tell you why. Because if there is anything that I have learned, it's that our anxiety lies to us and it tells us things that are not true. So regardless of what your anxiety is telling you, you're not so forgettable. People don't just forget about you. I know it feels that way. Oh, they're so busy. They don't talk to me anymore. They're treating me like a coworker. Well, they've just forgotten all about me. Impossible. They know what they told you. They know the last thing they said to you. They saw the last text you sent them. They know you exist. You were a part of that relationship. You were 50% of it. So when someone blows you off, if I could reach out and take your hand, I would promise you that it says so much more about them. But also the choice that you make right now in this season of sadness, not to diminish yourself by reaching out to someone who is blowing you off, speaks volumes about you. And again, I am not trying to compare losing a friendship with a personal trainer at the gym to a 3-year loving relationship where you're having intimacy with someone. My point that I am trying to make is this is how we practice these things in our life. And we teach our nervous system that we can go through sad things. People can pull away. People can disappear. And even though it sucks, it doesn't mean that we no longer exist. And it doesn't mean that we no longer have missions and goals and a life that we have to continue to live. And I went to the gym that day and I did a leg workout. And I'll tell you something else I didn't do that I probably would have done in the past, especially if this had been someone that I was dating. I didn't check in at the new gym on social media with a big smile on my face, telling the world how happy I was to be at my new gym in order to get some kind of a reaction from him, to get him to text me like, oh, Maria, you don't need to join a new gym. I promise I'm going to start training people. Nope, no more. You don't care about that stuff anymore, because you want to show up in your life genuinely, and you don't want to look back on silly social media posts where you have this big fake smile plastered all over your face when you're hurt inside. You allow yourself to be hurt, but again, we keep moving forward. And do you know, the next day when I was leaving my house, I live upstairs. I was walking down the stairs and I realized how sore my legs were. It hurt. But even though I was feeling pain, I found myself smiling. It's a nice feeling when you finally get to a point where you trust yourself enough to know that you can be in pain, but it doesn't stop your life and it doesn't stop you from getting it done. It doesn't cause you to abandon everything that you love, like a volunteer job or a hobby or a passion that you have. It doesn't cause you to abandon the picture you had for your future. You know, maybe you want to get married and you want to have a family, and this one person let you down, but it doesn't have to stop you from finding another way to get at it. And I hope you know that even if someone that you love or care about never talks to you ever again, it doesn't mean that you will never love ever again. It's how people like us are designed. We're made to love and care. It is important to take advantage of this space, even if you do not agree with the space this person is giving you. You can still take advantage of it. You know, I existed in the relationship with my trainer, whether he ever talks to me ever again or not. And in the 3 years of that relationship, there's a lot of things that I learned, and I can take them with me to a new gym. You know, if he does reach out and he says he wants to continue to train people, well, maybe by that time, I'll have had the chance to analyze the situation. And, you know, personal training, it's not free. It's a pretty big investment. And maybe I'll have decided, you know, I kind of don't feel like making that big investment in this relationship anymore. And honestly, I might not even feel like I need him as much as I used to. But that's the risk he's got to take with his clients when he decides to go radio silent. That's the risk that anyone has to take with you the day that they decide that they're just going to treat you like you don't exist anymore. But you do exist. And they get to go off and do whatever they want to do. But what they don't get to do is dictate how you decide to move forward with your life. And if they lose the opportunity to continue a relationship with you, too bad for them. From now on, one person no longer holds the power to make or break you. They don't get to decide what to do with you. You decide what to do with you. You don't want to text me for 3 weeks? Fine. I'm moving on, baby. But come on, if someone's okay with ignoring you or not being in your life for almost a month, no bueno. You know what I say? Fair's fair, and you're free to roam. If this video helped you, so will this one. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting the other half.